Alright, we're going to do a reporting breakdown of private investor sales of bullion to a dealer. Read an interesting article the other day. I'm going to try to post the link as part of this video so you can follow it and do some of the reading yourself. But it set me off on a little bit of a journey in discussing some things with my accountant. Because, I try to be honest and pay all my taxes, etc. And there's some laws that have taken place and changed with gold and silver investment. Now, the reporting breakdown, this is a summary we're going to do here, for the private investor sale of bullion to a dealer. So, for this being, if you were to take one of these gold products or silver products and you wanted to go sell it back to a dealer or a pawn shop and redeem it for currency, such as US dollars, to go purchase, let's say, a car or groceries. For gold, US gold and buffalo coins. Where's the buffalo? Hold on a minute. Let's find that guy. It's always nice to have a visual when you're discussing something. Alright. So, for US coins, being the eagle or the US gold buffalo, beautiful coin. Alright. All weights are not reportable for any quantity because they are US. Now this is, before you interrupt me here, I know some of you on the other side of the screen are spitting and sputtering, but just hear me out here. It says here that US gold and eagles and buffaloes, all weights are not reportable for any quantity. Foreign coins sold in quantities of 25 ounces or more, foreign coin, South African Krugerrand, are reportable. Foreign coins include, but are not limited to, South African Krugerrands, Austrian Philharmonics. Where's he at? Okay, here's a Britannia. It's a gold Britannia right there. Again, beautiful coin. Chinese Pandas, Canadian Maple Leafs, British Sovereigns, etc. So they are reportable. Fine bars sold in weights of 1 kilo, being 32.15 ounces or more per transaction, are reportable. So if you're taking a London Good Delivery bar, 400 and something ounces of gold, which I've never seen or touched one in my life. It would be interesting to handle one of those just to see what 420 ounces of gold does look like. But those are per transaction reportable. So for you wealthier individuals out there, if you're moving big bars around, make sure you're filing your tax returns and writing down, your profits or your losses on those. Silver bullion coins sold in any quantity are not reportable. So bullion coins being US Silver Eagle, okay, they're not reportable in any quantity. But examples include Mexican Libertades, US Eagles, Austrian Philharmonics, which we showed you earlier, Austrian Philharmonic, Canadian Maple Leafs. These are all bullion, silver bullion. Bullion bars and rounds, 999 fine, sold in weights of 1,000 ounces or more per transaction, are reportable. So if you have bars or big rounds, because they do make rounds now that are over 1,000 ounces, big fat, whatever. Or if you're selling 1,000 ounces at one time, those would be reportable. But have you ever seen those? You must have. They've made some novelty coins, I guess you'd call them, that are about bigger than a dinner plate and pretty thick, pretty heavy. And those are about 1,000 ounces. Some of those you can get. Junk bags of 90% coins or $1,000 face value or greater are sold in a single transaction are also reportable. So junk dimes, junk quarters, junk half dollars or silver dollars. If you have $1,000 face value, or those are going to be, which would be about, since I think they're 75%, that would be about 750, roughly 750, 800 ounces of 90% gold. So, but it would be about 800 ounces of pure gold or 750 ounces of pure gold if you had $1,000 face value of U.S. junk change. So as outlined here, a gold and silver bullion investor can avoid any 1099-B reporting requirements by if you pursued a strategy such as that. Now, you want to be cautious, and I encourage all of you to be honest. We all need to pay our fair share, pay our taxes. I wish the tax code was simpler and it was an easier way for everybody to get through this in investing. I wish gold wasn't treated the way it is. It's almost like you're punished for pursuing gold investment. It's similar to being, I mean, I wouldn't call it, I don't want to mince my words here, but they're very intolerant, I guess you would say. And there's an irrational reaction to people that pursue investing in metals rather than paper, stocks, bonds, and mutual funds and that such. But you want to make sure you're obeying all the laws, doing everything. Practice due diligence to educate yourself, and just doing the right thing, I guess you'd say. So, if you arranging the sale of bullion in multiple transactions to skirt any reporting requirement is illegal, and it will expose the seller to scrutiny, and possible prosecution. So any dealer that you're selling to, if they just determine that you're using a pattern of sales to avoid a 1099, they're required to report or file a suspicious activity report. So you want to be careful. Don't go out of your way to break the law, and try to obey the law and to pay your taxes. That's what we all do. That's what we all encourage you to do. So it's unfortunate that gold is taxed at a rate of around 25% of your profits, something like that. Now, I know this bill's been out there that are trying to limit that, treat it just like stocks, bonds, or mutual funds. I personally believe that since this is a U.S. coin struck by the United States Mint, and I cannot control the value of gold, I don't buy it on speculation. I buy it as a hedge against inflation, because we can all argue the only reason gold goes up typically is because the money supply has expanded. There's more green, more paper being printed, driving the price of these commodities up, just like the price of coffee or latte at the local coffee shop, just like the price of gasoline sometimes is impacted by the money supply, and other things that take labor and resources to either produce or extract from the earth. So, being that it's an inflation hedge, I don't think you should, because inflation in itself is kind of a hidden tax that we all pay. It seems like you're being taxed double or twice if you're having to pay an inflation tax on top of any value that you've gained. Because if you bought gold at, let's say $300 an ounce, and it's worth $1,000 an ounce, that gain wasn't very much realized, because the dollars that you purchased it in were in, let's say, 1999 or year $2,000, and you're selling it in the year 2008. And $2008 are obviously worth less than $2,000. But we're not going to get into that big debate on gold and inflation. So either you believe it or you don't, because economics is definitely like religion. You have zealotry on both sides. You have Keynesians, you have Misesians and Austrians, and different schools. And if you have 3 economists in a room, you're going to get 12 opinions. So, educate yourself, read about it, follow the link, talk to your accountant. We talked to ours about this, and it sounded very legitimate, the things that we discussed and the points that I pointed out that were in the article. So thanks for viewing. As always, like and subscribe, and if you can, join the conversation. Take care.